Hello, students, and welcome to Prison Architect 101. I am going to start doing a tutorial on how to get your first prison up and running and ready for the big wide world, and so you can go onto greener pastures and have lots of money to build cool things and whatnot. So I'm going to do a complete rundown of what the game is, what certain things do, what zones do what buildings do what rooms do what. Give it as much information as I possibly can. Now, this is designed at new players or players that want to try out new strategies. If you are a veteran player of Prison Architect and you notice I say something incorrectly or a better way of doing something, please comment below. This is all about helping new people get into Prison Architect and up and running for their first prison. So, what we'll first look at is the menu screen. This is what you see, well actually no, this is what you see when you first open Prison Architect, but if you're not happy with the prison layout, you go into the menu screen either by the main menu button in the top left that they've added recently, or hit the escape key. Now this menu is pretty basic. Left hand side is all about what alpha they're currently up to and what's in that alpha. They generally release a video every month explaining what's in the alpha and what's changed. I recommend watching that to show off the new items they add each time. It won't give you any rundown of what's previously in it, or they may have a very brief moment of discussion with the old Alpha 27, for example. But yeah, if you're gonna continue on with Prison Architect, I recommend watching those videos. They do help a lot with explaining the new equipment they bring out. Aside from that, big main menu introduction, that is what you would first see when you first open Prison Architect for the first time. The very first tutorial that introversion have put in for it. I found it to be a bit lacking in detail. It's very much just do this and things will work. They don't really explain, well, it's a little bit of explanation, but not as much detail as you'd like. When I first started playing, that introduction was pretty crappy. I had a quick look at it before and it's still not up to par. It's not new user friendly, so to say. Create new prison, that's pretty obvious. So new prison options you can choose from: small, medium and large maps. That's obvious. What size do you want? Fog of War. Now that one, again, obvious what Fog of War is. While you're building the prison or have no prisoners in your prison, you will see the entire prison as if you would in the planning stages, which I'll explain later on. But Fog of War, if you're new to the game, I'd recommend turning it off. It's a bit challenging to begin with when you're first starting out. So let's just untick that one. Continuous intake, that is essentially no option to disable prisoner intakes. Again, pretty obvious by its name. Again, new player, I wouldn't recommend turning the option on unless you're up for a really big challenge, then bravo to you. But again, new players, I'd recommend steering clear of that. Generate forests, lakes and buildings. These add aesthetics to the prison. The lakes are very experimental. I've seen prisons where they've made a lake and it's just been a nightmare. It's just like the entire prison is just a map. It's just a map. Well, obviously it's just a map. The entire prison is just a lake with a road. I'll show you how bad it is. It probably won't work for me, but generate forest, again, just aesthetics. You can use the wood from the trees in your workshops, which I'll explain down the track, but I wouldn't recommend it. I like a nice, neat map, but it really doesn't matter for it. Just whichever, doesn't matter. You can actually, there's a bit of a exploit you can use with the forest where you can cut down the trees and sell the logs for quick cash. It's a bit buggy, but if you're running short for cash, then yeah, generate forest will definitely help you out, but aside from that, not really. Generate buildings, this is a bit iffy as well. It leaves behind derelict buildings and whatnot, as what the tooltip says. I haven't found much use for them. They've more just been in the way and annoying, but you can build some nice kind of mental asylums or very aesthetically pleasing prisons with this option on. If you're, again, starting out, I'd recommend leaving it off, just get the basics down, but up to you. It really doesn't matter so much. It's just annoying when they are. Failure conditions, I will go into further detail of what these are, but again, if you're starting out fresh, turn them off. You'll have a very bad time as you're learning, and we're here to learn and have fun, not get destroyed by the prison. But I will be showing this off later down the track, because you can edit it in the save file, which again I'll show you later on. Unlimited funds, that's pretty obvious. There's no need to explain that. I'm going to leave it off just to show you guys money management down the track, but if you're wanting to follow along with me, probably best turn that on. But yeah, let's try to generate forest, generate lakes. Let's just see what this does. So yeah, things like this. This is what... this is a perfect example of how lakes are very, very bad. Like, you have deliveries and garbage, which I'll explain soon what they are, but the lake is just... you have this much of a prison to deal with. It's this. If this wasn't a tutorial, I'd probably stick with this and build it around up here, but given it's teaching you guys what to do and how to do things, I'm going to regenerate this map without any kind of forests or lakes or anything like that at all. And play. Cool. Now back to the main menu. Load, save, really obvious stuff there, no need to explain those. Open save folder. That is very handy when you're editing save files, which I'll explain down the track. Extras menu. Now this is really cool, this. When you're up to the stage of allowing prisoners into the prison, which again I'll explain down the track, you can choose who you want to bring in. You can choose anyone in this list. Essentially 11,000 people to choose from. Pick who you want. If you paid for the prisoner in-game, you can search for yourself in this list and essentially bring them in. A lot of them have their own custom bios and whatnot. That is not me, but whatever. This is more just kind of immersion and whatnot, but yeah, some of these guys will randomly join into your prison just off the bat when you have the prisoner intake on. So yeah, if you want a special someone to come in, you do it through here. And then we'll just go back out of that. Prison sharing. That's something more on the advanced side of things. I have a few up there already just for showing off some old prisons, but if you build a successful prison, you want to show it off, this is where you do it here. Go into prison sharing, type in a title, blah blah, publish this prison, and that will put it on the Steam Workshop for you so you can share with your friends and whatnot. Mods, if you have any mods installed, this is where you enable and disable them. I'll do a video on mods down the track because they are a bit, well, not really hard. They're also on the Steam Workshop. Just subscribe to them, they appear here. Just hit the X button to enable them, X button to disable them. Pretty simple. Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was difficult. It really isn't. Just click the subscribe button on the Steam Workshop, click the X to enable it, and yeah, you're in. That's it. Record time-lapse. Now, if you wanted to show off... oh, god damn it. If you wanted to show off your prison in a recording style, the record time-lapse is what you want to do. I have found it to be very buggy, but that's because of I'm using OBS to record this video, which doesn't like the time-lapse feature being used. Put it off for now. And that's the extras menu. Pretty cool stuff in there. If you let me go back again, there we go. Options, I'm not going to go into those. They're just options. Help, the wiki article, and exit. Pretty self-explanatory. The wiki I found to be somewhat helpful. They do go into detail of certain builds, but some pages, like of the more newer things, are very, very bare. So, I mean, you might find something on there, you might not. I haven't used it very often because I've had so many bad experiences with finding information out, so, yeah, you might find what you're looking for on there. Right. Okay, that's awesome. Prison Architect decided to crash. This is awesome. This is just amazing. Right, let's just open this back up again. There we go. This is off to a great start. My tutorial video has just crashed. Right, let's just make that new prison real quick. Small, fog of war, generate forest, fun, let's go. Cool. So what happens on your first day? You're given 8 workers that arrive on a truck. These supply trucks are what supply your prison with all the materials that you need. Anything you buy from the objects menu or any other menu down here arrive on this truck. As you can see, workers coming in, building materials coming in. There'll be a few more trucks coming in as well, some power stations and capacitors and whatnot. Now, where do these trucks go? They go to the delivery zone. This can be anywhere on your map, but it must be before the garbage zone. If it's after the garbage zone, they don't work. I don't know if it's been fixed or not, but every time I try it, they just break and fail, and yeah, it just doesn't work out. So if you build your prison around having garbage at the bottom, then you're having a good time. And then garbage, that's obvious. Anything you dismantle, dump, break, get damaged, etc. go into little brown bags. So these stack of concrete, if we just dump those, a worker will go over to them with a job, put it in a little black bag for garbage. Another worker will go over to it, pick it up, and put it into the garbage zone. Eventually, they are pretty slow. There we go. Then generally another truck will come down with a delivery. As they drop things off, they drive to the garbage zone. That then garbage bag goes into the truck, and off it goes. There's also another room called exports, which the same kind of deal with deliveries. Anything you build in workshops, which I'll explain down the track, will go into here. A truck will come up, all the exports will go into it, it will drive off, you make money, cool beans. That's the very basics part of the prison. You also have the to-do list, which is what's happening in the prison. When you start out, you have nothing in there. You have the CEO's letter, which gives you a very basic rundown. I'll let you guys read that, but there's stuff on there that may or may not help you out. And you have prisoner intake. How many arriving at what time and what category? Now, what are those categories? If you go into your... Actually, I probably should explain that, actually. In your top right-hand corner, you have the current time, the current schedule, and time control buttons. Normal speed, double time, triple time. I spend most of my time in triple time, just because things go faster and they don't look like ants, but up to you, doesn't really matter. So if you click on the lock-up button, or that will change depending on what is happening on the prison. If you're in yard time, eat time, free time, that will then display accordingly. But if you go into there, in the staff tab, that's pretty obvious, who you have working for you, what guards. The guards tab will show K9s, armoured guards, normal guards, things like that. The staff will show gardeners, doctors, janitors, who else we got in there? Cooks, warden. Actually, no, warden comes under administrators, actually. But yeah, they will all fit in certain zones. So if you ever need to fire anyone, just go into the staff menu, hover over them to hit fire, and then they're gone. Otherwise, click on them and hit sack. Both will do the exact same job, it's just easy going through the staff menu. Next in line is prisoners. This controls your intake and who is currently in the prison. I'm going to turn this intake off just so we can build a prison up before they arrive, but when you have prisons arrive, they will appear underneath their designated security zone. When you mouse over them, so much like the workers, if you mouse over them, it will show you where they are in the map. Same deal with the prisoners. If you mouse over them, it will take you to where they are. Pretty cool for finding annoying and painful prisoners like legendaries and whatnot. Jobs, that is the current list of jobs that is happening in the prison. Not prison workforce, but what your workers are doing in the prison. So if I just build a random fence, say here, that will go into the list for the workers to go and build that fence in order. Pretty cool stuff. If you find like something they can't remove, something that's broken, things like that, it will be in this list as a little yellow or red failed icon. Green means in progress, yellow means in queue, red means failed or can't get to it, etc. We haven't unlocked the rest of these tabs yet, but I'll explain to them as we go through them. As you're starting out, the grants tab is your best friend. This gives you your money to start off the game, to build your dream prison, to essentially get your foot in the door to continue down that prison track. Now, I'll explain these as we go through them, which will be in the next episode. But each of them will give you certain abilities and monies and whatnot to build certain things. So we'll come back to those. At the top here we have what day it is. This will also show you total time played and whatnot. We haven't unlocked the entire bar yet, but as we go along in the prison, I'll explain certain things as we unlock them. The bar will also show you current security level, current prisoner happiness, current lockup, minimum safety capacity, total capacity, daily cash flow, etc., etc. So a lot of a lot of useful info in that top bar there. Down the bottom left, we have the building menu, which I'll cover down the track, because it's a lot to go into and what certain things do and what utilities are and whatnot. When you first start the prison out, you'll spend most of your time in planning. Planning, they have certain categories for certain objects. So walls, pretty obvious. Objects, again, pretty obvious. And pathways, pretty obvious. So that's what essentially a basic very, very basic plan would look like. That would be like a visitor's room or something, which I'll explain later on. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you have shakedown, lockdown, bang up, and your reports. The reports is the same thing as the clicking that button there. It takes you to the same screen, essentially. What bang up does is it will essentially tell all prisoners that are willing to go back to their cells. It's essentially the safe version of lockup. Now what lockup does, it locks all the doors in the prison. So if you have a large-scale riot or escapes and whatnot, a lockdown will instantly lock doors for you. So if I just build a quick jail door here, what will happen, if I hit lockdown, that door is essentially closed. The only way to get through that is for prisoners to break it, which if you're in a large-scale riot, they'll just tear right through it. Where bang up, door will stay open, but all prisoners will return to their cell regardless of what time and what they're doing. I've never used bang up. I mean, it's handy every now and again. Last but not least, shakedown. This will order all your guards to go to every place in the prison that can hold items. So, deliveries, shower heads, drains, beds, toilets, the list goes on. It's huge. What they can hide in certain places is relevant. They can hide anything anywhere. So a shakedown every now and again is definitely recommended, but I will explain when the best times they are to do those as we build the prison up. So yeah, that is the very basic UI and how you make your first prison and save it and whatnot. So yeah, I will leave it here, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial. Toodaloo!